welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is our mum debate on whether breast is actually best. We are first going to have a chat about it ourselves, about our experiences of breastfeeding, and then we're going to head over to some of our other mums who have told us their experiences of breastfeeding as well. It's a bit of a controversial one today because I feel like midwives and health visitors and the media in general kind of really drills it into you that breast is best and there's no other way other than breastfeeding. So I feel like us talking about whether breast is actually best is a bit of a controversial topic. Obviously this video is based purely on our opinions and the opinions of the other mums who have sent their videos in, and we are by no way judging any mums that breastfeed or formula feed or anything like that. This is just purely based on our opinions and our experiences of breastfeeding. If you watched my video last week, I posted about my breastfeeding story. So if you've seen that, you would have seen some of the struggles that I had with breastfeeding. And the reason why I'm doing this video really is because of some of the struggles that I had. This is Lily. Say hey! She's always in on our videos, bless her. Are you famous? Yeah! So yeah, the reason we're doing this video is basically because of some of the struggles that I had with breastfeeding and the way they affected my mental health. So yes, I do believe that breastfeeding is the best nutritionally, and in terms of when the baby becomes ill, you create the antibodies for them and they get better much quicker. However, we're talking about in terms of mother's mental health, whether breast is actually best. And you're kind of the same, you do breastfeed, but you're saying about the mental health problems around it. So yeah. Do you want to tell a bit about your story?
Yeah, so we have been breastfeeding for nearly 8 months now. I actually didn't want to breastfeed to begin with because I struggled with differentiating between like desexualizing the breasts. I couldn't imagine them being used for that. Like I thought that was pretty weird. And obviously at the hospital I said I must try it because, excuse me, it's Mummy's turn.
She's like, can I have my opinion now?
I like the boob. So yeah, we at hospital I thought, well, I have to try it because if I don't have another child then I will miss out and I'll regret it, I know. So I did try, and as soon as it happened it was like magical. And I had a planned cesarean and I struggled with believing that she was mine, just through having no labour and not feeling anything and things like that. So breastfeeding really helped me with that mentally, with that bond. I've really enjoyed it in terms of like the bonding, but I have found it really difficult emotionally because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't ask anyone. I didn't do any classes. You're waving.
You're clever.
I didn't have any classes. I didn't ask anyone for advice or anything because I didn't really want to do it. So when it did happen, I struggled because I had no idea. Like I naively thought that you fed them every 4 hours like you do with a formula bottle. Yeah. So when we had cluster feeding, that was like a whole new level for me. Just recently though, I found it harder emotionally because I'm struggling with the idea of stopping. I said I'd carry on doing it till she was 1 so she could have cow's milk. But when I think about stopping, I get really upset because I'm worried, because I used it as a bonding tool. Yeah. I'm worried that I'm going to lose the bond. Yeah. And
I felt exactly the same when I stopped as well. So if you don't know, I had to stop because Bella kind of self-weaned. She no longer liked being on the breast and she preferred the bottle, and we had to give her the bottle because of her medication. So it was all kind of a bit of a mess, and I ended up having to wean her onto the bottle. And I felt those exact feelings of like, she's not going to love me anymore, she's not going to, we're not going to have that bond, she's not going to need me. But I was kind of continuing breastfeeding for selfish reasons really, and that's because I wanted to continue breastfeeding her, whereas she didn't want to do it anymore. So I just had to think of that when I was stopping, and I cried for days after I stopped breastfeeding because I just felt like massive mum guilt and I just missed it as well. But then when a few weeks down the line, when she was such a happier baby, I was much happier about the whole thing and about formula feeding. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still feel sometimes when I'm out in public, when I'm bottle feeding Bella, I still feel like people are looking at me and judging because they can see that she's a young baby and that I'm not breastfeeding her, but they're probably not. They're probably not even interested at all in how I'm feeding her, and it's just how I'm thinking. I also think that there is so much pressure to breastfeed, and when you're in the hospital, I don't know about you, but I wasn't even asked whether I was going to breastfeed or formula feed, and they kind of just put Bella on me and were like, there you go, feed her. And yes, I was breastfeeding and I knew that I was going to, but I wasn't even given the option to bottle feed. So I feel like if you're one of these mums that, like you said, struggles with the idea of breastfeeding or doesn't want to breastfeed or has some reason that they can't breastfeed, you're not ever really given that option to start off with. So you kind of feel straight away like you're being judged if you can't do it. And I know because I had a large hemorrhage and my milk didn't come in till day 10, so I had to formula feed until my milk came in. But even doing that, I kind of felt like inadequate and not good enough because I wasn't able to do it. So this is what we're talking about with the whole sort of emotional side of breastfeeding. Is breast actually best in terms of mummy being happy and therefore baby being happy? Because you were also saying you've had some friends that haven't been able to do it, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've had some friends who have tried and they said that their milk hasn't come through, and so I was part of a breastfeeding group on Facebook, and I had to leave in the end because of this whole, like, there's no excuse for your milk will come through, but it's hard. And like we had such, although we've had a really successful journey and we've not really needed much help in terms of, like, when we were at the hospital, they helped me while I was in recovery from my cesarean, and they were really good with helping because we just got it, we were left to get on with it. Whereas I know that some people haven't had the help, so therefore, you know, they've given up and they've not been, rather than being judged, they're not being told about how to help lactation and things. Which I think, if you are pregnant and you are hoping to breastfeed, please tell your midwife when you get there and make them stay with you, because I've heard a few stories of mums being left after labour to kind of get on with it themselves. So if you really want to, make sure you get that initial help, because that's what I found hard, and that's what my friends who haven't been successful have struggled, because they don't know, because they've not got any help.
But that was like me when I was in hospital. I was just, I know they were short staffed, but I was just completely left to it. And like, a couple of people did come and help me get Bella latched on. Luckily, I'm quite strong-willed, and I knew that because I told myself I am going to breastfeed Bella, I would do whatever it took to get over any of the issues that we had. So I did kind of get over the tongue tie and all of the other reflux issues and stuff that we had. But I can imagine someone who doesn't really know what they're doing and hasn't sort of been around that kind of thing, on that first try, if they had no one there to help them, they'd be like, oh no, this is too hard, I'm not going to do it.
But another thing that I found, and I hear a lot as well, is so I didn't know it would hurt. And the midwives are constantly telling you, if it hurts, then the latch is wrong. But that's not true. No. Like, the way I think of it is, you know, when you get like a workman and you do like hard work and you get calluses on your hands, so your hands hurt, and then after a few weeks they get used to it. That's how I would like talk about the breasts. Like, they really hurt and it takes your breath away for about 2 minutes. But that's nothing to do with latch. You know, my friend said to me that she gave up because she couldn't get a latch properly and it was hurting. And I just wish that I was there with her at the time, because I would have explained that actually just give it a chance, because it really hurt me and I was like, I can't do this.
But it's not even to do with the latch, it's when you get your let down, because I would get that same pain when Bella wasn't even breastfeeding. If I could hear her crying and I got a let down, it would hurt.
So see, for me it was the initial latch on. It was like, oh my god, that really hurts. And then after about 2 or 3 sucks it was gone. But then I thought it would last forever, and then I can't even remember it stopping, to be honest. So I do try, if I know any mums, and obviously if you're watching now, like, you know, pain isn't always the latch. It's just them getting used to it. So don't, like, don't feel like you need to stop at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like breast would absolutely be like the best thing for mother and baby had this person that's breastfeeding get all the issues sort of ironed out early on. So have the right support in place, do your research beforehand, because I didn't do any research on breastfeeding whatsoever. I just thought this is what boobs are made for, so it's just going to be easy. Because back in the day when they didn't have like lactation consultants and all this help out there, they did it and they like successfully did it. So it must be easy, and it is totally not easy at all. It is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and I just wish I'd done some more research and learnt about like how painful it would be, learnt about how to latch on properly, all the different positions you can do. Oh my god, don't even get me started on hormones.
Yeah, I'm already a crier. I already cried at everything. And then this, I think, because I had really bad baby blues, and I think that if I'd have formula fed, it probably wouldn't have been as bad.
Yeah.
But because your body's all over the place, and I didn't know that, but also I didn't think of that. I just thought I was being rubbish.
Yeah,
I didn't think of the like chemical side of it, like that it's not my fault. It's my body just saying like. Yeah. And also breastfeeding really affects your like sex life after birth.
Yes, it
because
does.
As I've taught Charlotte about prolactin.
She's taught me so much about hormones and why it ruined my sex life.
Because I read about it, because obviously your body produces prolactin, and that's what makes you sad, that's what makes you not want to be intimate with your partner.
It's what makes you hate your partner.
Yeah, you
because
hate them.
I'll be totally honest with this, for a little while I hated Alec. I literally wanted him out of my face. I didn't want him anywhere near me, and that is because of bloody prolactin.
Yeah.
And like
we make jokes about it at home, because it's really, like obviously I'm still breastfeeding, so I've still got it, and like we just try and make a joke about it, and hopefully, you know, when we stop it'll go back to normal. But yeah, that
I can tell you it does.
Google prolactin if you're thinking of breastfeeding, or if you're, because I was concerned that I didn't love Dan anymore. Yeah. Because I was like, well, maybe I just don't think he's attractive anymore. But I do. When I look at him, I think, God, you're so handsome, and I'm so lucky to have you. But I just can't get the fire started.
It's because prolactin is your natural contraceptive, and it's trying to do everything it can to make you hate his guts and not let him near you.
Yeah, do not believe the NHS, because it says in your little contraception book that you'll get after birth that you don't need any if you're breastfeeding. This is not true. Prolactin is not foolproof. No. It's just nasty for you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, in terms of breast actually being best, what do you think?
I think it's good, because obviously if your baby's ill, you can obviously give them the antibodies and things like that. However, again, that I feel like that puts you down a bit, because you're giving your baby everything, but again, you would do anything for your child anyway. Yeah. So I think that's definitely best. They're getting all the nutrients that they need. However, that doesn't mean if you give them formula that your baby is going to get ill. I've heard this so many times. I've never met a formula fed baby who has been obese because they're formula fed, poorly. You know, it's always could be. So just don't feel like you're going to make your child ill. You know, yes, breast milk is great if we can all do it, but you know, what's the point of giving them the best milk if you're not in a mentally like sound place? Because there's no point, is there?
No, because happy mummy is happy baby. And if you're absolutely miserable because you're breastfeeding and you've got issues, or you're just not enjoying it, then you're going to be putting that sadness onto your baby, because babies can sense how you're feeling. And yeah, a fed baby is the best baby, so just remember that if you're having some issues. And
definitely try it if you can, because like I said, I'm so glad I did. Although I've had a tough time emotionally, it's only for, I've planted it for a year, it's only for a year of my life, and that's nothing. So, you know, and we've had a great journey, so definitely try it. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it, it's fine. You're still a great mum either way.
Exactly, yeah. Because Bella is now formula fed. She's completely formula fed. She hasn't been ill since she's been formula fed. She's following her centaur line perfectly. Nothing has really changed with her other than she is happier because I am now happier. Like, and she's probably happier as well because she's getting more milk. But I am just so much, I'm less stressed, I'm happier when I'm out and about. And
but
yeah,
you've probably found as well, you and Alec are probably like tighter, you're probably closer, you're enjoying time together because you don't want to rip his face off. And therefore you're both more chilled and you can both enjoy family time, I think. Like, whereas, you know, I still have unnecessary stresses. Yeah. You know, and I'm hoping, well, if you're saying they're going to go, then great. That's a good positive, something to look forward to. But
then you get your period back and you turn into a crazy woman. So it's like, crazy. You just can't win. It sucks being a woman, doesn't it? But yeah. So yeah, fed baby is the best baby in my opinion. You're pretty much the same, aren't you? But yeah, if you can get breast milk into the baby, if you just try it and you don't like it, that's fine. If you try it and if you weren't going to try it and then you end up trying it and you love it, then that's even better. So yeah, that's our opinions. Let's head over to our other mums to see what their opinions are on the topic.
So this is a touchy subject, but one of my favourites, breast is best. I totally agree. Like, you can't replicate what is natural at all. I don't understand how anyone can even argue that. I've done both formula and I've also breastfed, and just the bond that you get when you're breastfeeding, it's amazing, and it is honestly the best thing you can give your baby. I only breastfed Ivy until she was 3.5 months old because she got bottle preference, and that was simply from me expressing beforehand sometimes. So for my next child, I wouldn't give a bottle at all. I wouldn't introduce one because breast is honestly the best.
Hi everyone, my name's Teresa, the Welsh Mama on Instagram and YouTube. So today I'm going to talk about whether breast is actually best. I'm not on my own channel, so I'm going to try and keep this as condensed as possible. All these views are my own, so please don't give me any hate. I'm just sharing my sort of personal experience of breastfeeding. So I've got a little girl called Lexi. She's 4 months old and she was exclusively fed breast milk for 6 weeks. I breastfed her exclusively for 4 weeks and then started implementing bottles of express milk after that. I am of the opinion that breast is not always best. The reason being that, I mean, I think that it is best physically for your baby. I don't think there's really any denying that. You know, nutritionally and things like that, I do think that it is best for your baby for them to have breast milk. But I am also of the opinion that emotionally on a mum it can be really, really tough. I think it is a skill that has to be taught and one that comes easier to some than others. We were kept in hospital for 2 days just to establish breastfeeding because she wouldn't latch. And then I had sucking blisters, which, oh my God, girl, if you've had them, they are so painful. And then within a week I had mastitis. Then we had breastfeeding specialists out and a whole host of other issues, and I personally feel as though breastfeeding kind of stole the newborn phase away from me ever so slightly. I put a lot of pressure on myself to get it right. I put a lot of pressure on myself not to give her a bottle for no good reason whatsoever. You know, so many people had told me that it was what was best, and I wanted to give that to her. I wanted to create that bond with her. And I'd set myself a goal that I was going to breastfeed her exclusively for 3 months, and when I realised I couldn't meet that goal, I was gutted. The pain was unbelievable, but it did go, and that is one thing I do want to say, the pain did go. And when it went, it was very, very easy. However, she then got reflux and she started fussing at the breast. She was being sick every single feed, you know, and it was like really digested milk. She was getting really anxious about it, quite clearly in pain. The Gaviscon, if I gave it to her in a syringe before she was fed, it didn't have as good an effect as when I put it in a bottle of express milk. So eventually I made the really tough decision to stop breastfeeding her, and now she is on formula. She is exclusively formula fed now, and I wouldn't look back either. I'm very, very glad that I did it. It was a tough decision to make, but I know that it is 100% what was best for me and my baby. I am so much happier and also more confident as her mum. I feel like we've got a routine down a lot better. she's sleeping better, I'm sleeping better. Yeah, so we did create a beautiful bond, and there were moments where I truly loved it. And if I had another baby, this is one thing that I do want to say, if I had another baby, I would do it again, I would try again, because I do believe that nutritionally it is best for them, and I believe that once it's established, if there are no problems such as reflux, it can be amazing and so much easier than formula feeding them. But for me, this time around, it just wasn't right. So if you're in the same position that I was, please don't feel guilty if you want to stop. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just slowly wean them off if that's what you want to do. Just go with your gut.
Hi, my name's Louise and I have a 4.5-month-old baby girl, Thea. I breastfeed and I love breastfeeding, mainly for the bond that it has given me and Thea. Also the proud achievement knowing that my milk has grown Thea into the baby that she is. I plan on breastfeeding Thea until she's around 7 months old, when she'll have to go to a childminder due to me returning back to work. Saying that, I do think fed is 100% best. As long as your child is fed, happy and healthy, I think that's all that matters. In my opinion though, I think give breastfeeding a go. Unless you've got a medical reason or your mental health or anything like that, then what's stopping you from trying to breastfeed? I've actually had women say to me that when they have a baby, they're not going to breastfeed due to they don't want their boobs to go saggy. And in my honest opinion, I just think you're not ready for a baby then. Your body changes so much during pregnancy, after birth. If you're not going to breastfeed because you're worried about your boobs going saggy, I just think that's a real naff excuse. But like I said, fed is best, and whatever makes you and your child happy, that's all that matters.
I formula fed both my babies. It was something that I came to terms with when I was pregnant, because I knew that I might struggle. I have very sensitive boobs, so I knew that it was something that I might struggle to do. I'd had lots of stories from friends about pain, discomfort, and I had a lot of anxiety about breastfeeding. But actually it was a good job that I had come to terms with it, because I was very poorly after my first labour. I had a very large ppH of 3.5 litres of blood and was in and out of consciousness, had 2 blood transfusions. So not only was my milk very late, but also I was actually physically unable to breastfeed for the first day anyway, because I was in recovery. So that meant that we just carried on with formula feeding. I ended up with post-traumatic stress disorder and postnatal depression. So it was the best thing for me and my maternal health was formula feeding. And my baby is now 3 years old and he's thriving and is doing absolutely amazing. And it made no difference whether he was formula fed or breastfed in the long run. But it didn't stop me feeling guilty about it. When I had my daughter recently, only 5 months ago, I actually did the same thing. I thought I would try breastfeeding, but again, the decision was taken out of my hands entirely. She was 6 weeks premature. So I was whisked off to the neonatal unit and given tube feeding, formula feeding for a very long time. My milk also didn't come in again, and by the time we were discharged from hospital, we basically just made the decision that it was going to be better for her and for me to just carry on with formula feeding. So we ended up formula feeding with both of the children, but actually it did no disservice to them whatsoever. And I just think there should be more media around formula feeding, and that it's okay, and that sometimes it's the best thing for the mother, and that it helps you to recover if you feel happy and secure, and therefore your baby can thrive and do better as well.
Hi guys, today I'll be talking to you about my breastfeeding struggle journey. So I've got 4 kids, 3 boys and 1 girl. My boys unfortunately are mixed fed. The reason why I say unfortunately is that I tried my best to actually give them only breast milk. Being a natural underproducer, it didn't matter how much I latched the baby on, how much I pumped, how much I expressed, it still was not enough. With my girl this time round, I'm doing a combination of pumping, breastfeeding and formula. It's very draining, but we're doing mainly breast milk for her and she really loves it. My boys didn't really want to breastfeed as much, so that I just didn't try producing any more milk. But my girl absolutely loves it. It was draining, it was very hard emotionally, because everybody judged the fact that I just didn't produce milk. People spoke harshly as well.
Hi everyone, Nicole here to talk to you about my breastfeeding journey. So with Penelope, I was absolutely determined to breastfeed because I'd been told that I couldn't do it and it was too difficult and I didn't really have the support of family, friends. So I went to classes, I researched everything online, and when she was born, she latched on textbook perfect, but I was having no luck. She was losing weight fast, and I bought a breast pump to see what was happening, and I was only getting enough milk to fill 1 bottle a day. So I had to substitute the rest with formula, and after 3 weeks I completely dried up and couldn't produce any more milk. I felt like a complete failure. I suffered with anxiety. People made comments that made me feel even worse. So it completely put me off the whole breastfeeding thing. So when it came to Henry, I decided not to breastfeed at all. Once I was pregnant, I was like, no, I am not breastfeeding, because I didn't want to feel that sense of failure again. But now I kind of have a sense of regret that I wish I'd have tried, because it might have been different with him. Who knows?
Thank you so much for watching today's Mum Debate. Keep your eyes peeled for upcoming Mum Debates on some different topics, and we will see you guys soon. Bye!